Well, the shitlib channel, Vanguard, talking about, surprise, surprise, Jimmy Dore again. Everything is Jimmy Dore's fault. It's all Jimmy Dore's fault, right? Instead of calling out the squad, they're making yet another video about Jimmy Dore. Sarcasm. Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. This is all these shitlibs talk about. Everything is Jimmy Dore's fault, right? These pseudo-leftists who are basically a bunch of liberals who, these guys are on here making videos attacking people like Jackson Hinkle. I mean, think about that for a second. Jackson Hinkle is out there doing hard-hitting journalism. He is talking about the truth about what's happening in Ukraine, stuff that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. And he's out there delivering the fire, right? And he's not just talk. He's actually building a movement. He's building the MAGA communist movement, which is actually going to attract a lot of MAGA people. Fake progressive shitlib Majority Report and Mr. Emo Binder has some, hard-hitting journalism. He's found a sock puppet account, Jimmy Dore, right? Because again, Jimmy Dore lives rent-free in the minds of the shitlibs, right? So they got some theory. So the theory is really nothing more but a bunch of bullshit. I mean, use some common sense. Jimmy Dore he's got a massive following, right? He gets a lot of clicks. He is basically on a good path to become basically like mainstream media, but not, anti-establishment version of mainstream media. Anti-squad, anti-democrat version of mainstream media, but completely different from mainstream media. I mean, using the same business model, but from an anti-establishment, covering the stuff that they don't cover while not covering stuff that they do. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The details don't matter. The bottom line is, Jimmy Dore does very well. He gets a lot of clicks, get a lot of views, gets a lot of followers. Biggest guys, on the left, they will pretend like he's a right-winger. I haven't seen any pro-Trump videos on Jimmy Dore's channel. I haven't seen him saying vote for Republicans. I haven't seen him doing anything in terms of right-wing, right? Jimmy Dore went out and he fought for forced to vote. He went out and fought for Medicare for all. Meanwhile, people like Majority Report, all they could do is criticize and shit on people who are actually out there fighting for working class people. That's the kind of people that the Vanguard is using and referring to. Like, these are hard journalists with the ridiculous idea that Jimmy Dore, one of the biggest leftists on, like a real leftist, right? A true leftist who's not afraid to call out the Democrats day in and day out, right? Some would say, oh, why doesn't he talk about the Republicans? The answer to that is that he is a real leftist, right? Real leftists don't care about fascists and white supremacy and anti-Semitism, unless you're talking about those Nazi Ukrainians, the Azov Battalion. Those Nazis we do care about, right? Nazis in America? Who cares? Let MSNBC cover those Nazis. We just want to talk about the battalion and an authoritarian party taking power and basically destroying any hope of any progressive policies, right? Real leftists are not down like that, right? Jimmy Dore's a real leftist. What you gotta understand is that we really do care about progressive policies, right? But only in the context that the fraud squad is not doing enough to fight for the things that we want. We don't actually care about the policies, so we're willing to risk this country going even more to the right and towards fascism, which will move us further away from those policies. Because once again, our concern about the policies is that AOC is not doing enough. That's what we care about. So you can get rid of Medicaid, you can put more people on the street, make them homeless, right? But we don't want to hear about no goddamn vote blue no matter who. And more importantly, we just want to talk about the squad. We don't care about the policies. What do you think we are? We're YouTubers, content creators. We're here for clicks. I mean, not really. We're here to fight the good fight. To give you real journalism that you can't get from mainstream media or from these fake progressives. Right? That's why you tune in to real blue MAGA. Leftist channels. Any real leftist would know that the biggest threat to leftists and leftism are liberals and other people who lean left, right? If Donald Trump gets into power and he takes away Medicare, he privatizes it, takes away a lot of the social programs that we have, and leads to more poverty, more inequality, these are good things, right? A true leftist would recognize that these are good things. So we're not going to waste time talking about those things, right? White supremacy, irrelevant. Domestic terrorism, irrelevant. Homelessness, irrelevant. Unless it's something that the squad or the Democrats are doing that's leading to it, right? A real leftist only cares about the Democrats and the squad. We are comfortable letting the right and the Republicans do whatever they want to do, take as much power as they want, right? Damage all of these social programs that they want, because saying anything and focusing on them at all is taking time away from what's really important, which is talking about the squad, talking about the Democrats, talking about the liberals, right? So the idea that Jimmy is a right-winger when all he does is fights for true leftist policies and ideals. Let's be real. It's not that we don't care about what the Republicans are doing. It's not that we aren't bothered by the diminishing power of the left in this country and the rising power of conservatives and the right in this country. It's not that we don't care about that. It's just that it's branding, man. How are we supposed to get successful so that we could eventually have this revolution if people can mistake us for liberal media, right? So anything that liberal media is talking about, we can't talk about the same stuff unless we're exposing them for their misinformation and the stuff that they don't want to talk about. We do real journalism, right? So the idea that just because bullshit MSNBC might have a point here and there, that we're supposed to also focus on or talk about those things are ridiculous. If we talk about anything that they're talking about, whether it's true or not, our audience is gonna have a fit. And we are controlled by our audience. I mean, we're running it's a business. And then these shitlibs want to get upset when he goes on, things like Tucker Carlson. They want to, be the police of who you can and cannot talk to. If Tucker Carlson is saying the truth about things, a real leftist will recognize that and take advantage of the opportunity to get on his shows so you can build your brand, get more views, get more money. I mean, it's not about the money. It's about getting on Fox News and getting in front of the eyeballs of some of the most partisan right-wingers who some would say are probably not reachable, but that's not the point. The point is to grow your following, right? So that you can eventually, assuming that the Republican Party hasn't done too much damage by that time, eventually you can get big enough that you can actually be able to build a movement to actually do something. Hold these politicians accountable, right? Put constant pressure on them, direct action, boycotts, protests with a purpose, with consequences, right? Eventually, that's what real leftists like Jimmy Dore, like Tucker Carlson, like, well, he's not really a leftist, but he agrees with us on some things, right? Real leftists like Jackson Hinkle, right? Eventually, once they get big enough, they're going to switch from the mainstream media profit model and they're going to switch to revolution mode. But for now, it's all about the views, about the clicks, about growing the brand, right? Because we need to build a leftist movement. We need champions like Hinkle and Jimmy, right? But these fake progressives and shit libs like the Vanguard, all they care about is going after people who, by the way, made them. Jimmy made the Vanguard. And all the thanks that these shiz libs give back is they act as traitors. True leftists would never, ever critique another leftist. Once in a while, maybe on a small issue. But you're not going to majorly go after another leftist, right? We're basically like a cult. I mean, not a cult, but we're like a group of people who work together in a sort of conspiracy. Not a conspiracy, more like an alliance, right? Not a brown alliance or whatever BS. We're talking about an alliance of true leftists whose mission is to get their audience to adopt their ideology, to agree with them. And from this, we can build a revolution eventually, if there's anything left of this country at that point. But the thing is, in the meantime, anyone who's a real leftist will never be wasting time going after other leftists. Now, Jimmy Dore, some would say Jimmy Dore does it all the time. Jackson Hinkle does it all the time. But the people they go after are not real leftists. They're not real Scotsmen. They are fake. How do you know they're fake? Because they're being attacked by real leftists. If you see a real leftist attacking someone who claims to be a leftist, clearly that person is not really a leftist. Why would a real leftist attack another real leftist? Obviously, the point of attacking them is because they're not a real leftist. All the people that Jimmy Dore goes after, fakes. All the people that Hinkle goes after, fakes. Jimmy Dore, Jackson Hinkle, and friends. These are the only real, true leftists, right? You're not a real Christian. You're a fake Christian, right? You're not following the true Bible. I'm sorry, I don't know how I got into that. Anyway, this is, so they got a video talking about Jimmy has a sock puppet account. I'm gonna save you from the headache of listening to these annoying liberals. Conspiracy theories about Jimmy Dore supposedly has a sock puppet. Why the hell would he need a sock puppet account? So, because Jimmy Dore, you didn't like this, because Jimmy Dore retweeted someone that didn't have much following. That's the basis of their theory. Some would say, why don't I just show the evidence so you can decide for yourself? I'm not going to show you the evidence because it's stupid. I'm just going to tell you what the information is, right? So all it is some guy said something that they didn't like, right? And then Jimmy Dore, who they hate, they can't stand Jimmy Dore. Anything with Jimmy Dore, oh, Jimmy Dore this, Jimmy Dore that, right? So because he retweeted somebody that didn't have enough followers, they think, oh, how on earth could Jimmy Dore retweet someone who doesn't have a lot of followers? Clearly the person he's retweeting is really himself. Stupid. That's how these liberals think. How could he retweet someone that's so small? The thing about it is Jimmy Dore, unlike them, is a real man of the people. That's why I'm voting for Jimmy Dore, by the way. He's a real man of the people. So what does that mean? That means many times I see him talking to and retweeting people with small following. 1 follower, 2 followers, 20, 200. Jimmy Dore doesn't care about how many followers you have because he's a real leftist. So it's not surprising that he retweeted someone with a small amount of following. And then they go into some stuff about, oh, the guy has Verizon and Jimmy has Verizon. Verizon is one of the biggest networks. And they think their audience is so stupid. They even say this in the video that, hey, Verizon's popular. But yet they still have this conspiracy theory, misinformation about how, oh, this is Jimmy Dore's account. Think about the basis of this logic. Because Jimmy Dore retweeted somebody that didn't have enough followers, oh, it must be Jimmy. Because the guy that they retweeted has Verizon and Jimmy has Verizon, clearly it's Jimmy. That is the basis of their logic. And this is the same logic that they use to come to conclusions about their other shiplib content, which is basically watered down MSNBC. I didn't even plan that. I swear. I mean, this whole video has been sarcasm, but I didn't actually plan that, but that's perfect. Exactly. He made my point. Lack of talent, fake leftists, right? Every day, all they do is talk about Jimmy. Some would say, show the evidence that they only talk about Jimmy. I would say, you're stupid. Every day, all they do is talk about Jimmy. Jimmy this, Jimmy that, Jimmy this. You think Jimmy is Satan. If they spend as much time talking about these fraud squad and the Democrats as they talk about Jimmy, then maybe, just maybe, I'm not really sure what the benefit of that would be, but maybe if they did that, then you know what I'm talking about, right? Instead of them, using their platform to go after these elites in the Democrat Party, instead of doing that, they're wasting time punching left. Jimmy Dore is a real fighter, right? A shirtless based hero, just like Putin. And of course they're going to clip that out, that I said Putin is great. I'm a Putin puppet. That's this. They all use the same rhetoric. They're fake leftists. All use the same rhetoric because you want to talk about peace in Ukraine, right? Leftists were supposed to be about peace. Because you want to talk about peace in Ukraine, oh, he's a Putin puppet. That's the level of logic that these fake leftists use. They're not the Scotsmen they claim to be. Instead, they are 1984. Then they want to talk about why Jimmy Dore has a lot of right-wingers in his audience. Because right-wingers have common sense, at least, to know that peace is the way to go. They're smart enough to know that the Democrats are Satan. Unlike these shitlibs who still are hanging on to the idea that one day, just one day, if you vote hard enough, the Democrats will save the day. That's how they think. Some would say the Vanguard has never said that. They don't advocate for the Democrats. They call them out all the time. I say you're dumb. And now they're rapping, right? Because this is all funny to them. They're unserious. These shitlibs are unserious. People are out there starving, homeless, cold, bored, thirsty, and these liberals are on here. Instead of talking about real issues like Ukraine and Putin good, they're trying to be rappers. Zach is back. Hashtag. This is a clown show. They're just making jokes. They're rhyming. Are these serious leftists? Like, while working class people are struggling, they're here trying to rhyme and wasting their time talking about Jimmy Dore. All right, guys. These guys are shitlibs. Shitlibs are going to do what shitlibs... Anyway, shout out to the Vanguard. You guys do great work. Please, anyone listening to this, please point out to me if anyone actually makes a serious video that sounds anything like what I just did. If Blue MAGA actually comes out and makes a video like this, goddamn. This is the Debate Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. I'm out.